Howdy folks, in this video I'm gonna kind of riff and ramble on about the Obi-Wan Kenobi and Jango Fett fight scene. I think it gives us a lot, especially as this week has kind of become about the Force. That wasn't my initial plan. I had some thoughts, some spaces I wanted to get into, and there isn't anything that is going unsaid in these videos, but I wasn't prepared for how much we were going to talk about the Sith. And I think that there's something happening in the Jango Fett notion where we're getting a little bit of interesting history being played out in that fight scene. There's a lot of stuff that's happening both historically in the culture of Star Wars and historically in Star Wars canon, especially surrounding the ability of those wearing Mandalorian armor. We are still waiting to find out just how Mandalorian the Fett clan ends up being. I suspect Mandalorian Season 2 is going to weigh in on this much more completely. But we do have a rich Mandalorian expression, culture happening even without the former extended universe, now Legends of the Force. And a lot of it, I feel, is captured in, I told you I was going to hang the pictures up on the wall. We have Boba Fett contemplating the lightsaber of the Jedi he has just killed. He is thinking of it as a trophy, but also as this monumental thing. And during my live tweet of Attack of the Clones, I did mention that Obi-Wan Kenobi would have lost that fight if he didn't keep up on his grappling hook skills. A little bit of force to touch it and make it work. This is phenomenal, right? I mean, not to say that Obi-Wan was ever truly in danger. He has the Force backing him up, but he did definitively lose that fight. Jango Fett walks away as this normal, this non-Force using individual from a fight with Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obi-Wan is no joke, right, gang? So, what is happening here? What are we seeing in here? We are thinking about how the Force syncs up with other things in the galaxy. And this is a real important moment for us because the Force is something that we don't exactly have access to sitting around here. What we do not also have access to is cool like flamethrower wrist things and grappling hook stuff and all of Jango Fett's ensemble. But, you know, I like to pretend that that's merely something we're waiting for. You know, the lightsaber will come after we get to deck out for real a Boba Fett, Jango Fett armor situation. But, you know, I'm thinking like 4 or 5 years away from that, you know, with lightsabers in the 10, 15-year plan. That's the longest window I'll accept for any of those things. So the idea is that Jango Fett stacks up against Obi-Wan Kenobi in a very significant way. I'm not currently sure if this notion of Beskar, the material that Mandalorian armor is made out of, I am not 100% sure if it is still canon that it can block a lightsaber blade. But that was something huge in the extended universe, this material that is canon. All right, Mandalorian made Beskar the canonical material that the armor is made out of, and you had this notion, this ability of it to block a lightsaber blade, and this was critical to a war that actually occurred between the Mandalorians and the Jedi, because while the Jedi did ultimately win this war, you see that the Mandalorian culture, as this warrior-centric culture, did give them a run for the money. It wasn't just like the Jedi showed up and everyone on the planet was like, yeah, we're probably going to lose this one, let's fight anyway. No, Mandalorians had a real actual chance at this. There's a very cool moment of it. If you're looking for a little bit of context, in Star Wars Rebels, the television show, season 3, episode 14. It's called Trials of the Dark Saber, where a Mandalorian inherits this lightsaber that gives like this divine right to rule, passed down from the first like Mandalorian Jedi combo. Real cool stuff. I don't want to get into too much of it. I don't want to burn any spoilers. The information on this spans the Clone Wars animated, spans Rebels, spans into Mandalorian season 1, and I expect we'll see it unfold over the next one, if not even 2 seasons. This could be a massive thing for Mandalorian. So this whole legacy of the Mandalorians and who rules and who is there and what's going on. So yeah, all of this stuff is kind of percolating. And in that episode, Trials of the Darksaber, we get this contest between a Mandalorian who has inherited this lightsaber and a Jedi master who's currently blind. He's functioning as like this blind swordsman archetype. So cool. Kanan Jarrus. The individual meeting with the Bendu, as you saw in that slideshow I've been updating for you. You have him teaching this individual how to wield a lightsaber. It's a bit different. She is an accomplished warrior in and of her own right, even with staves and sticks and swords and things of that nature. But lightsabers are a different game. And one of her fellow Mandalorians, as she is getting like beaten back by this Jedi space, gives her some traditional Mandalorian pieces of weaponry, wrist armor and weapons. So in it, she has like this shockwave sound percussive blast thing. She has a grappling hook. She would have a flamethrower. These are the types of things that the Mandalorians are attaching to their forearms, their wrists, to fight against the Jedi. She is told these are the weapons Mandalorians deployed to level the playing field against the Jedi. You're seeing her replicate a sort of force push action. She uses the grappling hook to retrieve a lightsaber that has been disarmed from her, right? So yeah, I mean, like just shooting fire at people. I mean, tried and true war action, right? And Boba Fett uses it. Mando from Mandalorian uses it. Jango uses it. It's a thing. And so we're seeing this contest between these elite warriors and the Jedi, this Mandalorian presence in the saga and the Jedi themselves. And we're getting a lot of history built into these moments. We're getting a lot of culture, internal Star Wars culture built into this, because you're telling these extended stories. You're giving these notions of an individual with enough skill, training, ability, and preparation can defeat these force-sensitive warriors as well. And so I think this is really one of the cool things, because it speaks to kind of giving us the sense of we don't necessarily need the Force to do something cool in the Star Wars universe. And as much as I am all about comments on the Force in the Star Wars universe, that's not the only thing there. We see tons of extended universe material on just fighter pilots, both Imperial and Rebel. Right? We see a lot of information on the Mandalorians. We see a lot of video games taking up the squadron thing. And I think it might be the best approach to video gaming that Star Wars has, because it can either be a Force user, where one of the problems with that piece, as we escape the immediate saga culture, we're sitting there with a controller or a desktop swinging a lightsaber, and it's not about us entering that space. Whereas when you get even like the first-person shooter, the Battlefront thing, you'll find that you're in the eyes of the individual until you start getting to use these totemic characters. You use the Force, and all of a sudden it's not you, it's you controlling someone when you get to play as Anakin, right? And so you have also the new Squadron game that just came out. I haven't played it yet, but everyone I talk to says it is tight. And again, we're getting a dog fighting fighter pilot type scene. These are the things that help us connect in other ways. Mandalorians as a whole, they always strike me as this like Batman argument where I can't be Superman, right? But if I had the money, I could be Batman, right? Especially if we take away a lot of his technology. I just need time to learn ninjutsu, which I actually did train in ninjutsu for just over a year. So you can just go do that. It's awesome. And I feel like Mandalorian kind of fits that niche. The same reason people love troopers of the various kinds. They have these iconic images associated with them, and it's something readily available for you to take up. If you haven't read the chapter from the Taylor, it's optional, but it is one of your examples. If you haven't read the chapter on the 501st Legion, if you haven't heard of them, go to their website. They are this epitomizing cosplay action where you make screen accurate trooper outfits and all of the other things. You got to have a Vader, you got to have a Fett, you got to have all this stuff. And they make these brilliant things, and they are so in touch with the goals of Star Wars as a culture that they are used for security at Star Wars events. They were brought in as extras for one of the final two episodes of The Mandalorian. And so like you get these look better than the costumes that were produced on set. People who just this is their passion, this is their calling, and you never troop alone. Like you show up and you have this presence and this existence and you're in there, right? And so we have a lot of things that are allowing us to connect with this, and we're seeing that the argument for Fett is the argument for Jango Fett, is the argument for the Mandalorian, is the argument for just the iconic imagery of Star Wars beyond the Force, beyond the Jedi and Sith. There are things filling out this realm, and there are things that are equating, are competing with, are interacting with the nuance of what's going on. If you watched attentively to the scene where Jango is fighting in the Colosseum, right? First, he dusts a Jedi with one blaster pistol, and then he goes all trick shot on it, and he is fighting Mace Windu, and you get this like weird, cool Fett is a clone stuff happening. Fett bumps his head in the background on the Slave One ship. He dings his head off that. And Jango dings his head off that. When he's fighting Mace Windu, he's trampled by the Reek. And if you're watching, you can see his jetpack kind of sputter, just like pop off a little bit. It's malfunctioning. And as he's fighting Mace Windu, right as Windu goes to decapitate him, Jango ignites the jetpack, and you can see it start to work and then fizzle. And it's in that moment that Fett loses the fight. He was going to launch himself up and away, as we saw him do with Obi-Wan. And so the finicky jetpack comes up again later in a film we haven't watched yet. All right. I'm pretty sure everyone has seen it, but I haven't memorized that survey you filled out. So I'll stop with that notion there, but we're seeing things occur in Star Wars culture, in Star Wars notions. And this is just to give you a sense of how all of these things circulate with each other. And I want you to really get a sense of how far spread you might want to be when you're thinking about either that culture, because you're going to have to rationalize and justify and explain your project, but also what you're drawing on when it comes to your research papers as well, your seminar papers there, right? We've talked a lot of different angles, a lot of different things, okay? So I want you to be thinking about Star Wars that way. That's the way we think about things academically. We work around, we include large resources, we get a lot of information, and it starts to make the claims we are offering solid, sturdy, unimpeachable when you have resources from a vast array of things. You are solidifying, you are making your point strong. Right on, gang? So be thinking like that, be noticing that. I absolutely love a lot of the individual scenes in episode 2. The epitome for me is that Jango Obi-Wan fight scene. I absolutely love it. Jango deploys these traditional Mandalorian tools in order to fight a Jedi in the way that the Mandalorians did fight Jedi. And it really helps to put into the universe, the world, the notion that there are other things, other paths, other ways to access that thing. Either the heart of Star Wars being the Jedi Sith dynamic, or just what we love about the experience. So, gang, check out the rest, and I will see you there. Be good.